classes, there's an org, unit, division level classes and all this. At the end of the day, the application rule sets, the rule sets together only define application. Okay, so if you want to add any new thing into the application, all that you have to, first thing that you have to do is come and add the application rule set. Okay, so let's take a look at what is the application rule set stack. So in order to see the application rule set stack, you'll have to take a look at, if you just click on your profile here. So like a couple of places you can take a look at. One is on your operator profile. This is how you click over the operator and you click on profile and you get this. Okay. And then you see here the rule sets. This is exactly what is a rule set that is available at runtime and which determines what each of these functionalities achieve. So in short, I would say that you have these rule set stack here. You have admin, manager, and all these things here. So this is the actual rule set stack which is applicable for this operator. Okay, so if you are pointed to the same access group as another operator, he would also have the same thing, just barring only this one. Right? So this is like every operator has a private rule set for himself. So whenever you check out or you do a private checkout, the rule actually goes and resides in this particular private rule set of yours. So apart from this is specific to this operator. Apart from that, this entire thing is common based on the access group. Okay. So if I have another operator with the same access group, he would have all these things same except this one. This will be again based on this one, based on his operator ID. Okay. Was there a question? I think.
Yeah, Rahul.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So how it works, like top to bottom or bottom to top?
Yeah. So yeah. So it actually works like top to bottom. So a rule, if you have a rule A, okay, over here, and a rule A here, so this rule over this one takes more precedence or will be executed over this rule over here. So this one will be completely ignored and this one will be executed by the system. So a rule in a higher rule set version or a rule set in the stack is executed first or given more priority, and then only the lower ones are picked. So we will learn about rule resolution in detail, but for now understand that this is a stack, and this stack, the rule a rule which is in a higher a rule set will be executed first. Okay. Right. Now forward here. Now there is one more place you can take a look at this. That is, if you click on the Designer Studio, you have application, structure, and then you see rule set stack here. Okay, this is also another place where you can look at the entire rule set stack for you. This is for your application. You can see the entire rule set stack here. Okay, so you can see here all this and all the rules that stacks whatever we just saw now. Okay, but personally I would always recommend that you come here to the profile and take a look at it. Okay, so because this is actually the real thing that is used even at runtime. Okay. Okay, alright, so going forward here now you can see, so this is the stack that I was talking to you about, the one you have. So always know that every rule set, every operator has his own stack, and if you're pointed to the same access group, everything will be same except for this private rule set. Okay. Now what we have is, So you have something like very specific implementation. Yeah. So now looking into this in a bit more depth, so you have something called as this is a rule set, like the processing app rule set. Okay, and so this is the most specific implementation is what you need to understand. So because we understood that the rule resolution, the rule will be picked up like this, that is from top to bottom. So the most specific one will be at the top. Okay, pretty obvious, right? So the first one that is picked up by the system is the most specific code, which is the least reusable one, which will be like very specific implementation. And that is why if you see the name of this rule set also, it is the name of your application. Okay, it is not name of your organization, not name of your division. It is specific your name of your specific implementation application. Okay, and if you see here, immediately after that for integration also there is a separate rule set, and these are all built by the wizard automatically. Okay, and here it says very specific implementation, which is the integration layer, and it is reusable only across the entire implementation. And generally all the connectors that you can use to connect to external systems, they should be in a separate rule set. Okay. Then after this you have the 𝐸𝐬𝐸𝐷 claim, which is a claim subprocess, and then you have the integration, then you have the 𝐸𝐬𝐸1, which is the division level, then you have the organization level. This is what I was talking about, corporate logo, skin, all those things you can put here, right? So in effect, whenever you have a rule set stack like this, okay, which goes like this from top to bottom, the topmost one is the most specific one, and the bottommost one should be the most generic code. Okay. So now a couple of other things that you need to understand about a rule set is the rule set has something called as a validation mode. Say for example, open a rule set here. Now let's just analyze this rule set as well, so it should be a bit more clear. Yeah. See, the first thing here is something called as a validation mode. Right. So in earlier versions of Pega, there was only this kind of validation called as rule set validation. Now we have like two types. Okay, and the application validation is the most common one. So let's see what this validation means. So consider it this way. So what you need to understand is yeah, so you have a rule, say for example in this is now rule set A. Okay, now this is your stack, and then you have very neatly you have one more rule set here. Okay, now a rule in this rule set A, say for example rule A1. Okay, now during the development in Pega, so I think you guys must have already figured out from CSA that in Pega almost the primary thing that you have to understand and learn is how to use all the different rules, and a combination of rules is what at the end of the day your expertise in Pega is. So if you know how to mix and match, or match different rules together or club different rules together to achieve the business objective, then you're good to understand Pega, right? So every rule may reference something else and things like that. So if you see here, rule A1 may at some point of time need to reference a rule in other rule set. Okay, so in this case, if rule A1 wants to refer the rule in B1, okay, right? So if it wants to refer this, it should have visibility of the other rule set. Okay, so if this rule A1 wants to refer rule B1, rule set B should be visible to rule set A. Now, okay, now let's type that down. So okay, rule. Rule B1. In order to do that, rule set, I'll say rule A1 should be able to, I'll say that, do that, rule set A1, A should be able to view rule set B. Okay, so this can be achieved in two ways. Okay, so in two ways. That is, first one is application validation. Okay, which means that if the rule is in the if the rule set is in the application stack, it's all right. So which means that if rule set B is in the app stack, then it is automatically visible. Okay. Okay. Next is rule set validation. It's the other option. You manually mention which rule sets are there as prerequisites. Okay, so there is something called as rule set prerequisites. So you open rule set A. So way that it would work as, so let's open this one here. So when I say application validation, important thing you have to understand here is this one. Okay, so you have two validation modes, right? Now in application validation, you will just look at this stack. Okay, if it is there in the stack or not. Right. Now when you have something called the rule set validation, check this, and you can see here, you'll be able to see that you have something called as the required rule sets and validations. So you have to mention that the rule set here. Okay, this is how it used to work in earlier versions of Pega. And right, so prerequisites, this is option here. Okay, so this is what you have at the end of the day for, so you have two options to do this now. Let's see where all we would use it actually. So now your additional features called as you can access rules only in that rules set prerequisite and etc. So this is all right if you have the application level rule sets. Now when you have a rule set at the organization level, which is like your bottommost rule set, there you can make it as a prerequisite, because at the end of the day you can ideally have additional things. So this rule set validation, right, you have the option to manually add any rule set. Okay, it need not be there in your application stack or anything. So if you take the bottommost rule set, this 𝐸𝐬𝐸𝐷 here, okay, this set. Now this doesn't have to depend on any of these, okay, because this is always on the top, and by application validation it will not have access to any of this. So it is beneficial to make these last ones, which is the 𝐸𝐬𝐸𝐷, the organization levels, as application validation. Oh, sorry, rule set prerequisite validation. So that's what even Pega also recommends. And if you open this rule set here, you can see by default when the wizard has generated, it would have generated it as a prerequisite. You see rules and validation, and they have given it here. And you see something like UI kit. You can even give the top level one again here as well. So there's no harm there. Okay. So this is an important thing you understand, and I hope the concept is clear. Right. And let me know if there are any doubts on this one. But primarily this is the different validation modes that are there in the application.
Rahul, I have one question. Application validation, the rule set A can access rule set B if it is in the same application rule set, irrespective of the position of the rule set, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Irrespective of the position of the rule set, if it is there in the stack, that's all that it needs.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So
Rahul, this
yeah.
𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐷 int cannot access processing app, right?
You mean in application validation?
Yeah, in any way, just now Sudha asked one question, right? For that, even though both are there in the same application, but this organization level classes cannot access this application level classes, right?
Yeah, but we are talking about rule sets here. So a rule in the AI organization level can a rule in an organization level rule set can access a rule in a top level class in another rule set. You're right when you're saying about the classes, but here we're talking about the rule set, right? So
Okay.
classes we will talk about. So suppose you have a rule in a class which is at the which is both at the same level, okay, same class, and but they're in different rule set. One is in org level rule set and one is in application level rule set. So they can access each other, right? Provided you have application validation, or even in rule set validation. If you can give, say, if you look at this picture here, in rule set validations, I have given the application level rule set here. You give it, it will work.
Okay.
Okay, Rahul, I just mean there's a subtle difference here from my understanding. So what the application validation is about the access, but what the previous question that was discussed was about the inheritance. So it is not inherited, but accessibility is possible. So if any activity that is in the integration want to access that another activity that is in the same application rule set, it is possible, but it is not inherited, it is not having it, owning it, but it can access.
Correct. So inheritance is not here. This rule set does not have inheritance. Rule set is just about access, and that's it. And mind you, all this is only at the design time. This is not having any impact at runtime. At runtime, the system will always take this operator's profile and it will just take the stack and it will run. That's it. It will just always check whether that rule set is available, whether the rule that you're looking for is in a rule set which is in the stack. That's it. This, whatever we have, whatever we discuss now, is only during the design time. That sometimes when you try to save a rule, I'm pretty sure most of you must have got an error. It says that it is not in the correct, it is not in the rule set. It may not be in a correct rule set and things. It gives a red color error warn or error message, not allowing you to save, saying that the rule you're trying to access is not in the rule set which you have access to or something like that. So that is because of this validation. right? So and this has this is only during design time, so this has no runtime impact. All right. So just put the description also of these validation modes. Yeah, so just go through this as well. So, right. Okay. Now, yeah, that's a couple of things that I want to cover with you guys. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is, I think again most of this is self-explanatory here, whether checked out, rule count, and then you have this option to secure the rule set. So generally whenever you want to move a rule set to a different environment, once the development is complete, generally an administrator person will be there who would just come and lock the rule set. And he would open a new rule set for development. He would lock it so that the code integrity is maintained. Okay, that nobody works on it again. All right. Now,
Rahul.
yeah.
Yeah, this is Ramana. In the last class, we have discussed like major version on the rule set on the given rule.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to get certain rules from the lower major version to higher major version, how do I do that?
Okay, so if you want to get a rule from a lower major version to a higher major version, there is a concept called as skimming. So what that will do is, what you asked is like a very real-time scenario. What happens is you have a rule in a lower, suppose you have developed something on this, say, O1, O1. After like maybe like a lot of time, you open this rule set 02, 01, 01. Okay. Now, obviously, whatever you developed in O1 and then all the other combinations, you're not going to have access in O2. So, in order to do that, in order to solve that problem, Pega has created something called as skimming. So, what skimming will do is, like the literal word meaning skim, like if you look in the English dictionary for the word skim, it means that take the top level, like if you say skim, I think the correct word to make you understand is in milk, right? If you like, you will have the top fat layer. So you skim. That's why you have a skim milk and normal milk, right? So skim milk is the one without that. So similarly, when you say you skim, you take the, if you say skim this major version, whenever I run the skimming wizard, I'll say skim this major version 01. So it will take the top level of all the rules in this major version and push it to this major version. Okay, so it will take the topmost. So if I have, again, if I have a rule A, okay, in 01, 01, 01, and then again after some time I develop it in 01, 02, 01, then what the system will do is, or again I say something, I have 01, 03, 01, then what the system will do is, it will, when I run the skimming wizard, it will take this one alone, this topmost one alone, and push it to 02, 01, 01, or whichever a new version rules that you tell. It could be 02, 01, 01 or something else, whatever you want. So at the end of the day, to move the rules that you have in a version to this one, you will have to use a skimming wizard, which will skim the topmost one, pick the topmost one and put it here.
Yeah, it is very clear. Thank you.
Okay. So,
one more thing. Actually, can't we just give 010101 as a prerequisite for 020101 and instead of skimming?
yeah, I think even that is also possible, but hold on. I haven't actually tried it. Generally, the general practice is to do the skimming, but yeah, if you give, so now the problem is, if then you have to make all the rule set as this rule set validation, you'll have to give it. you have to, what you're talking about is to give this prerequisite here, right? So
Yes.
generally we are following application validation for all the rules, all the application rule sets here, like this. For all the other rule sets, we follow application validation. So I just put it here like this. Yeah, for all the rule sets, we always follow application validation, except for the bottommost rule set, which is the organizational level rule set. So you generally do not tend to change that, because even from Pega, it's the best practice to follow application validation for all rule sets apart from the organizational level rule set. The reason they have gone with that approach is because when you do this rule set prerequisite, you can, at the end of the day, you may go into circular loops. So
Okay.
you can have rule set A reference rule set B, and rule set B may reference C, and C may reference A. So that kind of problems used to come up in early versions of Pega. So that is why they came up with this application validation. And with application validation, you have no option to reference this 0200101, right? So
Okay.
that's effectively not possible. So, but I think if you have a prerequisite like this, I'm not sure if you can reference that, but maybe we could give it a try. I don't have a major version. So, but, I think all of you are able to hear me, right? So that's she can't hear me.
Yes.
Um, yes, Rahul, we can hear you.
Everyone able to hear. Right. Okay. All right. I hope the doubts are clear. So I'll put about skimming. So just take a I'll just put the help document here. Just take a look at it when you're free. Alright, I think those are a couple of things that I want to cover with you guys. Now going for D4. Now if you take a look at this application rule sets, like we will learn about branches in some time. Now going to this rule set here, there is this important checkbox called as approval required. Okay, so what this does is it's a pretty powerful concept, but not at all used in real world. So from a certification standpoint, you need to be aware what it does, and you will have to probably like just do some exercise also. We have an exercise around this one, but in real world it's not at all used. Just know that it's only for theory. Okay, so two things. If you checkbox is approval required, then what happens is whenever you check in a rule, yeah, so whenever you checkbox this approval required, what happens is when you check in a rule, it will go for an approval to someone, and only then the rule is merged with the main rule set. Okay, so what happens is when say any random rule that I take, say for example here, okay, something I have something like this now. I think I have not enabled. Yeah, so every rule set you have this option called as use checkout here. Once you enable this use checkout, you will have the check-in checkout option. Okay, which means that check-in checkout is primarily just to have a proper access control over the rule. I think that you guys must be aware, even in Java or any other programming language, whenever you develop any piece of code, you should have an option to check out, to have a private copy of yourself, make the changes, test it. Once you're good, you merge it with the main branch. Okay, so similarly in Pega as well, you have the check-in checkout. Now you can have an additional validation for when you check boxes approval required. So when you do the approval required, what happens is the system goes for an approval flow, which means that it will take whatever changes you've done, and it will before it checks in the code, actually it will give it to some pre-assigned person who will review whether whatever code that you have written, is it right, or whatever changes you have done, is it correct or is it wrong, whatever. So you have this called as approval rule changes here. So this is the flow that the system would go through. Right, so see here it just says I think it's out of the box flow. I think it's a bit disorganized, but it says approved, rejected, note, and all these things. Basically, it just assigns it to a work basket, or I think, yeah, it goes to a work basket. That too, it's a predefined like static work basket or something. Yeah, so it says to check in reviewers. So generally, the real-time use case of this is the way Pega intended it was. It might go to a architect for approval, and the architect would, or a lead developer for approval. So you have automatic code review. Okay, so generally it is a good practice to have a code review, and instead of having a offline code review, you can force the system to have a code review using this approval rule change. Okay, so you can ensure that the code is like perfect, or it's reviewed by the relevant folks, and only then it is checked. Right? So this is an important thing that you have to understand. So to configure it, you have like pretty good number of steps that you need to do. So yeah, this is the exercise on check and approval. So you have the approval required for check-in. You have this checkout option. Okay, and so you have like after which you have a rule set called as check-in candidates. Like it's I think I have a video on this one. I used to do this exercise with the students earlier. Of late, I think I shouldn't be doing it because this is not at all used in real world at all. So it's not going to help you guys in project in any way. But know that these are the steps to configure the check-in approval process. I will try to share a video with you guys for which I've done with another batch. If you want, you can take a look at it. But probably if you don't have time, don't waste your time trying to do this exercise. Okay, just know that from a certification standpoint, you need to know how to enable the rule check and approval process. So for which you need to have a couple of options. Like first one is to have this checkbox in the rule set. So if you open this rule set here, this checkbox should be there. Then on the security tab, you have something called as use checkout. Even that should be checked. Okay, and afterwards there is a rule set. Once you check in, it will come into something called as check-in candidates. Okay, so that's how it works. And yeah, a little bit of configuration here and there, but nothing much different there. Okay. All right. So this is again a small explanation about a screenshot on the application stack. Right. Now the other important thing that you have to understand here is branching, which is something which is really useful in the real world, and I think we'll be doing exercise on this one now. Okay. Right. So let me know if there are any doubts around that check and check out process. It's pretty straightforward concept. Configure a bit and you're good to check in and check out things, but not much of data there around that. Okay.
Rahul, sorry Rahul, this is Sudha. I lost last 10 minutes to 15 minutes of class. I don't know what happened. And now I have joined from my mobile, so I was not able to listen to what you are saying.
And no worries, I'll cover it for you like in after the session is over. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. So now you have this branching concept. So what this is important that you understand. So just follow my mouse here. Okay. So consider this as a straight line like that we have here, straight green line, as your main primary code base. Okay, your primary code. Okay, so primary code base. Now you have like two separate teams working on the same feature or on the same code base, okay, or the same application. Now what happens is team 1 does a checkout of a rule, probably an activity, and after which team 2 also checks out this into their own branch. So what happens is once after some time when they try to merge it, the team 1 should be able to merge this thing into the system, and team 2 should be able to merge it after this, taking this change also into consideration. Okay, or let me just probably note it down in a bit more clear way. So what happens is in all software systems, I think that's what GitHub is actually trying to solve. One of the problems that GitHub tries to solve using Java is exactly the same thing, that almost the same thing that we can look, but this is not as robust as GitHub. Okay, so consider this as your main code base. Okay, like just consider, try to represent this, relate this with your main code base. Okay, right, which is like all rule sets / rules. Right. Now what happens is, okay, so you have in an enterprise system you will have multiple teams working on the same system. So this main code base will be worked upon by multiple teams. So you can have a team in India, you can have an onshore and offshore teams, like a typical model that's easy to understand. So you have a team here, and yeah, for onshore we will give a red color like Donald Trump's red, and green is considered as India's green color. Okay, so this is, you have a team in on-site, so in US, and this is called team B, and we'll call this as team A. Okay, right, so you have the main code base, and now what happens is both these teams are expected to work on the same rule. Okay, assuming that we did not have any other alternate approaches in Pega, generally the way it would work is you have a rule, and say if I open any of these rules here, say for example, let's assume that this is the way I've logged in now. I am from team, the Indian team. Okay, say, so here I'll just log in. So for example, I just want to change a simple property rule form. Okay, so I open a okay, so if you see here, now I'm the offshore team. So I open this and I click on checkout. Okay, so you have checked out the rule. Okay, now what happens is after some time, say for example I'll just save as this one. I'll create an operator for my other team also. Give me a second. Admin 1. Okay, so I'm just creating two operators, trying to simulate the behavior. Okay, so now what happens is I open, just to make, as though, just to represent to you that okay, so now I'm the other operator from a different team. Okay, now so now I'm now developer 1, this is a developer 1. Okay, I'm logged into this application and I have checked out a rule. Okay, now I'm another operator who opens this one here and tries to work on the same rule. Okay, so by default you see here he gets the private edit option only, and he does not get a checkout because the other person has already checked out the rule. Okay, so he does not get a checkout option, instead he gets a private edit option. That's the first thing that you have to notice. Now assuming you, after you notice that, now you click on, you get this, this lock icon here. It says this record was checked out by this person. Okay, I'm alright. I click private edit. And it just gives a warning. Now I add something here, like, so like test, so I add some change. Okay, save it. Now I check in. Okay, so I am the guy in on-site, so try to check in this one. So say, okay, it says, you see here, admin AIG has his rule checked out. You cannot check in your private checkout until after admin AIGI either checks in the changes or deletes the checkout. Now imagine this in the real world scenario, that you have a guy in US and you have a guy in India, and the guy in India has, like, he has worked throughout his daytime and he has checked out this rule and he has gone home. Now this guy in US is trying to check in the code. Now the system will not allow him to check in unless the guy in India checks in. Now ideally you're going to lose a day just because of this problem. Now the guy, you have to wait, probably you can offline, you can send him an email, and the next day this guy comes in, the Indian guy comes in, he checks in, only after which then this guy will have to check the changes which the Indian team guy has done, incorporate those changes, and only then check in. Okay, so this is what would happen. This would lead to loss of time and productivity, and time is money, and that would create all this problem. So the right approach that you need to follow is to go for a branching option when you have multiple rules working in the same code base. So if you go to solve this problem, you have this branching concept. Okay, so which will allow a team to have their own private code base, okay, on top of the main code base. So this is the main code base. So what you will have is, you'll have a code base here and a code base here, like something like a separate branch for you. Okay, so what now, in order to solve this problem, what we can do is, we can open our application, and you see here, you have like two things, India team and NA team. Okay, so I think for NA team, I don't think added a branch rule set. So we will do this exercise in a bit, but just know that you have something like a branch rule set. So okay, so I have the processing app is the main rule set, for me, this main center line. So I'm going to create a branch for that rule set. Okay, so now you see the name, processing app, branch, and NAT. Now I click save. So now let's repeat the same problem. Okay, now I will discard it. Okay, and here as well. Now try to discard this one. Okay, now let's repeat the same exercise from start. Now I am the operator 1. This is my operator 1 in India. So what happens here is, I'll just refresh this one. So now I'll have this option. You see here, I'll have this new option called as checkout to branch. Okay, so the moment I click this one, it says, it will give me the option. So which branch do you want to check out to? So I say I'm from India team, and I check out to my India team branch. Okay, now coming to this one here. So now I will say check out to branch. I'll say I want to check out to NA team branch. Right? Now if you see here, you don't have that private checkout, you actually checked out the rule. Yeah, but it just gives a warning here that it is being modified in another branch by another administrator. Okay. Now what happens is, now this is, you have NA team and you have the India team. Now from the NA team, our problem was NA team guy was not able to check in. Remember? Now let's check in here. So we'll say, see here, it allowed me to check in without any problem. So I don't need to wait for the India team guy to come back and do this, because I did not actually check in into the main line here. I checked in into something like a pseudonym here, like this branch here, and the merge is still not happened, mind you with that. The merge is still not happened. You have checked in the rule, so you are good to go. Okay, so you have done your work. Now the merge and all is like a headache of someone else, or probably at a later point of time, but you have done your check-in, you have done your check, you have checked in your code, and you don't have a problem now. Okay, so in nowadays, and in this time of global integration between different teams, where almost all the companies are global, you have teams sitting in different places and different time zones. It's important that you have this kind of an approach wherein the same rule can be checked out by multiple people from every area, and they can work on it and they can check in, and they shouldn't be facing this problem. Okay? They should be losing time just because the other person is in a different time zone. Right? So I hope you guys understood the concept that so now because of this option that I have, I can now easily check in my code and not worry about what happens if I mean not worry about the development happening in different places. Okay, so you see here always now in real world, this is used in real world, and that's why we will be doing an exercise around this one. So this is, yeah, so this is just another representation here. Says, yeah, so now what happens is after this is done, you checked in now and it's here, and then the other team checks in. So so a merged conflict is thrown, which means that now after you both have checked in, both these guys have checked in, you'll have to go to your application role, and then you have an option called as merge branches, so which is generally done at the end of like probably a week or a sprint or something like that, because generally when branches support this one real-time problem, like solve this real-time problem which I just spoke to you about. And the other thing is, what if you don't know which team's code goes into production first? Suppose because your business is like requesting for this feature 1, which this team is working, feature 1, and this team is working on feature 2. Now, you honestly don't know from a business standpoint which feature is more important, 2 or 1, or which is more, maybe which is more important is clear, but which is more recently needed. So that scenario also you can go for this development branch. Okay, so which means that you don't know which feature is more important, feature 2 or feature, you know which is more important, you don't know which one goes into live first. So once you know which one goes into live first, what you will do, you will click on that and then you will merge that first. Okay, and once you have done that, then the second guy who merges will have to incorporate the changes which the first team had done. Alright, so like if you just merge, like at the end of the day, what are you gaining by merging? So hold on. Now, so merge is nothing but like generate merge branch 1 to the main branch is like combining the code or replacing the code or incorporating the changes in your branch into the main rule set. right? So so this business solve problem that it tries to solve is twofold. Okay, so I'll just probably note it down. Okay, first one is this teams in different time zone. Right. And the second one here is when teams do not know in advance which feature goes online first. When teams do not know in advance which feature goes online first, so even then you can have branch, and yeah. So this is the exercise that you will try to do on branching. So you will create a branch first, then create a branch rule set, and then that's it. So then you have the merge and things like that. So yeah, so let's get started with the exercise. So I will, what we will do is I will do the exercise and I will record it and I will share the exercise with you. So I want you guys to do it after the class on your systems. Okay? Right. So what I will do is right, so what I will do now, I think I already have all these. Alright, I think we can then do in someone's machine. That will be better. Right? Give me a second. Yeah, can I have a volunteer to do this? I need someone to volunteer so that I can do this. We can do this exercise on the system. Alright, I think then I shall do it in my system and I will record it and show it to you guys. Can share the video with you guys. Okay, give me 1 second. I will just log out and log in to enable the recording. Yeah, I'm back. So, okay. So what I'll do is show my screen first. So I will just do this merge branches now. Right. So before I need to clean all this up. Just give me 1 second. I think I will, okay. Right, so I'll get started with the exercise then on branching. So in order to create a branch first, after you log in into the application, your system, you need to click over here. At the top you will find your application name. You need to click open application. Right, and then what you need to do here is you will have the option called as add branch. Okay, so you need to give the branch name. So I can give a convincing name here. I can give a team name say a good team name that I can give here is, generally they give it with the team names, or even you can have it with a feature name as well. Okay, so you can have a feature like or I can give a release name as well. So I can just say or better is, let's give teams, that makes more sense. Right, so I can just say EU team. Right, so or I can give London team, and I click submit. Okay, now after you create a branch, you need to create a branch rule set. Okay, so after you do that, click here, and then you need to first save it. Give me a second, save this one. Yeah, now you click create branch rule set, and you should get this option for London team here. Okay, now you will see which is the rules that you want to branch. So you can give your main application rule set, which is processing app here. You click on create and open. Okay, so keep in mind that this is also application validation, and the branch rule sets never have rule set versions. They just have only one version. Okay, now going here, you can have an additional branch now. So now I will say, let's say NYCT. Okay, I'll click submit. Now again I come here and I click save. Now what happens here is, after which I will say, I'll click create branch rule set. I'll select NYC team, and then I'll say processing app. So I click create and open. Just save. Now what's now important for you to understand is you have now created two new rule sets, two new branches, and basically your branching is now enabled. That's all that you need to enable branching. Okay, now because all your applications are new, I don't think any of you have any of the properties or anything created in your systems. So an easy way is to open your class structure like this from your open process. Inside that, open the flow, and then you click on I think you should, or okay, go to your 𝐬𝐸 case. Inside that you should be able to find under process, you should be able to find the PY start case. Okay, this flow should be there in all your systems. Now you click on this one. Okay, you have this option called as, you can right click over here, start. You have this option called as checkout to branch. So now the London team that I created, let's say checkout to branch. Okay, you click save. Right. Now another thing that you have to do is you need to open your operator. Just do a save as. Okay, and just give, when you give a save as, just give a new name there. Okay, just give in the operator ID, just give admin1@AIGI and then click on create and open. This is just to mimic a scenario where you have completely different operator. Okay, and now you open, this is your admin1@AIGI, which is, if you open this one, this is one I created earlier. Okay, now what I do, I open the same, come here to the 𝐸𝐸, go to the process, go to flow, and then I open this PY start case. Okay, so you see here already there is a thing that says that it is already being checked out by, it's already in the branch London team. So now, but you don't want the London team branch, you want to separate this one. So you need to see the main code line. So in order to see the main code base, you can click on Actions, and then you can just see View Versions. You see you have the branch and you have the main one. You click on this main one. Now this opens your processing app rule set. Observe the difference here. This is already checked out by the other person into the London team, which is because it is in the top of the stack in the system. It opens it for you, but you don't want that. You want to open this one. Okay. Then you click here again. You click on check out to branch. Now I say I want it as NYCT. So check out to branch. Okay. Now say you do some history change here. Just, as of now, just give NYC team change. Okay, and then you check it. So it just gives you a warning here. There may be merge conflict. So NYC change. Right, so you have done the check-in now. Now you open this other operator, and here in the history you make this change here, saying that random team. Now you click check-in. So, right. Now you have the same rule, Pega start case flow in this London team. Okay, and you have in the NYC team also. Right. Now what's important now is you open the application rule form, click on open application. Now after which you just close both these rules. Okay, so open it, keep it open to avoid contention. Now if you open the application rule now, you will have this option. Now after this, now both these teams are done with their changes, they're now happy and it's going on with their things. Now the business comes and tells, hey, the team, the changes which the London team did, that will go into production first. Okay, so as an administrator you will come here, click on actions, and then you have this option called as merge. Okay, so it says the London team is here, and then it says this is the total candidate. There are 2 candidates. There's 1 conflict and 1 warning. So if you check this one, you will find that it says a rule in a lower version has been updated, and then it says this rule exists in another branch. So this is important. So you can, if the London team wants, they can check what the other team has also done. They can cross-check that, but you see the difference. You can see the differences, but it's not very clear. So don't even look for compare. Just checkbox this, mark as resolved. Okay, so which means that you have manually checked the changes. Click submit. Okay, and now do you want to merge it to a new version? No, I'll just keep it to the 010101 itself. Okay, and I click merge. Okay, now if you after this, now if you open that Pega start case rule, you will find that London team changes are the one that is there in the system. It says successfully merged. All good. You click close. Now if you go to the App Explorer here and you click on Pega start case, this is the NYC teams. You click on actions and you click here 010101. Click on this one and you go to the history and you see here it's London team now. So remember, this is the processing app 010101 and this is London team now. Okay, now the London team has merged their changes and they're done. Now when the other team now we'll go to the new NYC team, click on action, and then now you merge this as well. And it clearly gives us a warning. So again, I'm going to merge it to 0101. It says there is a conflict. It says that this rule has been updated recently. You have to manually open that rule and check. So I manually open this rule, and then I check this is my changes. Okay, and this is other team changes, so I'm good to override it. So now what I will do, checkbox is marked as resolved, and I click submit. So then I click merge. Okay. So it's also done. Now if I open this 010101, you can see NYC team changes. Hold on. We open that one from here, my start case. Go to the history. You see here it's NYC team change. So essentially now the changes have been overridden. So that's what happens in the merge. So you have to manually come and see those changes and change it, or the system will override it. Okay. So yeah, so that is the exercise on branching. Or if you want to branch many rule sets together at the same time, you have this option called as merge branches. Instead of doing it one by one, you can just do it in one shot as well. All right. Okay, any doubts in this so far? I will share this video in a bit once. I think it takes some time to convert the video. So once the video is converted, I will share it with all of you. Right, any doubts, anything? Okay, I think we're good then. So I think the only other thing that I just have to tell you about rule set types. We'll probably talk about that tomorrow, but I think that's all for today from my end, guys.
So Rahul, what could be the rule set version of these branched rule sets?
You have only version 1, that's it. Only one version, 10101 for that branch rule set. You don't have multiple versions for that. So it will be like
while merging it is showing different version, right?
No. While merging, it is saying that after you merge, do you want to merge it to the 0101 in the main code base, or do you want to create a new version, or which version you want to merge it to? Like the 2 is your main rule set, right? So that's what it's asking.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So I think we're good here. So
in yesterday's exercise actually,
okay.
I have 7.1.6. I'm not sure if that was the problem. So when I was creating the application in the configure advanced settings under application structure, there is an option called allow access to Pega API to administrators in your screenshot, but that is not coming for me. Is it
it's a
different?
feature. Yeah, it's a new feature in Pega 7.1.9 or 8, I think. It's all right, and don't bother about that. Like, it's just API access which is given, which is again not used in real world at all. People develop their own APIs, so don't bother about that.
Thank you.
All right, so tomorrow we have a big topic to cover. Actually, it's called as rule resolution. So, or do you want to meet tomorrow? Or do you want to meet the day after? Do you want to take a break tomorrow? I think tomorrow is Sunday, right?
I'm fine with tomorrow's class, Rahul. Others are
okay. Yeah. What about the rest of you folks?
I'm definitely expecting a break.
Yeah. So let's break for tomorrow, and make sure you do all the exercises so far. And make sure that you complete that support tab. I want it completed. I will try to review with all of you. And once you're back, we will like to do full-fledged this application implementation. Okay. So like once you're back, I think one day we will have a theory alone for rule resolution, which needs like we have like a lot to learn there on rule resolution. So it's an important concept. Yeah,
Rahul,
I think
can you share this worksheet, this one, like week 1, week 2 planning?
Yeah, this is shared, right? This is already shared with all of you. Isn't your email ID there in this list? It's not there?
I don't remember. If you can share again, or I'll check that one.
Yeah, please check it. It's already shared with all of you. Like, it's 2 days back, I've already shared all this with you.
Okay.
Alright?
Okay.
And just, yeah, I hope it's there, right? Pawan, right? This, or was it Pawan, right? Yeah. Alright, okay. Alright, okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Let's meet the day after tomorrow now, alright?
We are meeting day after tomorrow, right?
Yeah, correct. Okay, I will upload today's exercise video. Like, it takes some time to convert, so just give me like, I think you guys can go to sleep. Morning, you'll have it. Alright? Okay. Okay. Good day, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Rahul.